Hello, my name is Eric Wilson, and it is 6:30 on our extended day. I got real excited yesterday when I saw we had another day to work on this. Unfortunately, I still have the same issues when it comes to the bug that I found with the maps. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Your review of my app was that you didn't want to push a lot of buttons. In fact, I'll show you the original pharmacy app. Okay, here it was. Okay, here's this splash page that really doesn't tell you anything, and then it checks for your internet settings, no connection, location services disabled. Okay, this didn't change too much, but when you finally get to the good stuff, the feedback was kind of like, okay, why are you showing me one store? Okay, and obviously I want to go to that store. I don't need a button. They're used to just kind of like, pressing that and going to it. And then show all stores. So I had two event listeners, and one was going to show you where all the stores were, but it still didn't have a lot of functionality. So that was a negative. Well, that was good feedback that I got back. And then, of course, take me there, directions. Well, everyone wanted this page, and they wanted to see an array of pages. Now, remember, the original intent of this app, as I showed it to people, was if you're away from your familiar places like home, you've just moved, you're on vacation, you're traveling, and you need something, anything from milk to medicine, you can use this app called Pharmacy, and you should be able to find it. So I built based on your suggestions, a different UI, and that is, as the splash page is loading, show you something that, hey, there's actually a map and it's going to work. And then we go through the internet checks, okay? I removed the "you are located" thing at the top because that was extra. I changed the loading page. I removed the show me store buttons, and I created a list view. Okay, this is a list view holder. It does not look like this, but this was the idea, and this was the feedback. It's like, look, once it loads, I want to hit that, and I want to go right to navigation. Not do you want to navigate to this place. So when it came to local storage device, it could be somewhat effective. Okay, it could take you somewhere, but again, it's got to have your current location. So if it's got your last location, it's going to give you a route that really isn't useful. So for this particular app, yes, we can load to the device. I'm going to show you loading to the cloud, but really its best functionality is when you do have connection. And again, just one click. Open the app, let me select where I want to go, and then take me there. Just automatically route me there. Okay, so that was the list and the feedback when it came down to the things to do for the updates, the feedback. That's my new UI module. The data flow chart really didn't change much. I will bring that up. I had a loop. I had to build a loop for the pharmacies and capture that so that I could populate this list that everybody wanted. They wanted a scrollable list, and the list had to be as long as there are pharmacies. If there's only 10, then there should only be 10 things on the list, not 10 with 5 blank spaces. And if there's 30, there should be 30 lists, and that's the case here, is that in Orlando there were 30 pharmacies within the area, within the location. So I've uncovered a bug when it comes to that module for iOS with App Accelerator. To get me started with Google, I found that Google Places and Google Maps were probably the best way to go on much later in the game after trying to use the map provided by Titanium. But some of the restrictions is that as you're fitting the region that you want to go to, you want to pass where the user is, and that's going to change. It's not a fixed location. Unfortunately, the way the map is built, in order to build a route, you have to actually put in numbers. Well, I don't know where you're going to be, so how can I put in those numbers? It would be easier to pass the information. Now, this worked when it came to populating the table. In fact, the scroll view. This is what you wanted, was the scroll view. So here it is. Okay, the scroll view, and I also made it. Let's see if we can do that. Make it a little easier. There's the scroll view, okay? And there are 30 things to choose from in this list. But notice my default map, while it's got my location here in Florida, okay? That's where I am. That's my current location. It's a map of the U.S. The entire U.S. Why is that? When the region was specifically declared to be in a certain area. Okay, those things you learn in programming. But here's the list. And what I tried to do all day today, and I'll turn that off, was to activate the data that was in here so that you could press it once and you would get a route like I showed you on the UI. Now, when it comes to the simulator, I found it interesting. You see Hanging Moss? This is where you are currently, right? Is Hanging Moss Road right in there. And here's the list. And again, there are 30. As you can see, I scrolled up and down. This is what you wanted. You wanted a list view. I made the list view. And I thought I could take the same approach of using the list view to also build just, hey, your current location. And here is the accelerator, and I want to show you the UI. Here it is. It was very satisfying to build a for loop that would go through the LS data, okay, the length of it, and find your name, the location, and the location itself was an array, so I took the first and the second things out of the array. So here is the name, okay, and then here is your location, and because the location was an array itself, I just said, hey, give me the street, and this, and that should be enough. And I parsed the lat and the longitude. This is the current place of the user, and the VLAT and the VLON is the venue latitude and the venue longitude, and I was just going to create a route using both of these. However, here's the issue, okay? This does not work. The latitude and longitude, they want actual numbers. And while it worked in the API when you were, parsing the Foursquare data, you could just simply, here's where you caught it, okay? It was passed in the geo passed the information to the apps page, and this is where you caught it. I thought by exporting it out of geo at the very end, okay, before we closed out the geo function, export it, that way it would be available for everything. But when I put in just lat, it couldn't find the variable. So it was actually looking for a number, and I refused to put in a fixed number. I wanted the most accurate number, the accurate place. In fact, I'll zoom in to the iPad and show you that again, is that this is exactly, remember I told you we're at Hanging Moss, okay? This is exactly where we are. Oops. Slide to unlock, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, this is exactly where we are. See that? But yet on the other map, it does not show current location on the simulator. And then there's the problem with the Android. Now with the Android, if you are using maps, I just wanted to let you know that everything's outdated. Okay, version 1, those keys, they don't work anymore. Got to go to version 2, which means you need another authentication key. And learning Google Maps and the authentication key and getting it to work on any kind of Android emulator didn't work. The screen would come up, but there'd be nothing behind it, and there'd be all these little errors. So, are we saving it to the cloud? Well, let's see. Here we go. We had 1.6 thousand. I have since made a call. I don't think that's going to change because I think I made that call prior to making this. So I think it should still be 1.6. We'll talk to him later. But there's your custom objects. It is going to the database, and I'll end with the console log, and that is right here. I created some text that says, hey, congratulations, you saved it to your, local storage. This all went into the local storage, and here was you found your location. You were online. This is your exact location. There's Foursquare. And like I said, this time there were 30 rows. You go somewhere else, there might only be 15. And this is, we also wanted the distance. I wanted to calculate that when it came to the route. But, you spin your wheels, you ask for help. There's only so many people that really understand titanium. This has been a fun class. I've really learned a lot of moral victories. I took your advice. I built as many things as I possibly could. Rebuilding your UI in 3 days is not easy. I was very proud of the scroll view. I'm glad that worked. shouldn't be too hard over the next couple of days to possibly give an update and take those locations and match them together and then just kind of show you the navigation, because I do want this to be a working app. But that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing since Sunday. It's Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. You guys were a lot of fun, and I hope to see you on later in the class. Okay, have a great night.